Community platform engineering updates. Hello, folks. Welcome back to another talk of ours. Today, we'll be talking about the community platform engineering team. It's a Red Hat sponsored team that works to look after the applications, the services, the websites that the community makes use of, be it Pecure, Koji, Bodhi, you name it. Chances are that there's someone from our team that's a part of, say, Fedora infrastructure or the release engineering team that looks after these things. So I'm going to start off with introducing ourselves. I'm Akash Deepthad. I work for the Red Hat Community Platform Engineering team, the team that we're going to talk about. And I'm also a part of Fedora Infrastructure, CentOS Infrastructure, and I have also led a community initiative called the Fedora Websites and Apps Revamp. I'm going to pass it over to Samyak now for him to explain, introduce himself. Go ahead, Samyak.
Hi, folks. This is Samek this side, and I am a part of Fedora family for a couple of months, a couple of years now. Sorry for the months. But for the release party, I have brought chocolates for everyone. I am eating red velvet for now, but that's mostly it. Jokes apart, I am also a Red Hatter. Uh, I almost for 2 years now. I started with working in GitOps, which is basically Git with DevOps. But now, luckily, I got I got to become a software engineer at Community Platform Engineering team from the starting of this year. So already a good start of the year ahead. For me, uh, from how I started with Fedora, and then I'll pass it over to Kaj for the first sequence of it. For me, I was triple booting in my college year with Windows. I'm so sorry for that. With Debian and with Fedora 29. So I am not that old, but there you go. So over to you, Akash. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for the background, Samyak. Now I'm going to move on to the next slide. Right. So, what does community platform engineering do? Three parts, because it's always easy to explain things when they're divided in three. Operations. So it involves stuff like system administration, infrastructure handling, and service deployment, release engineering for everything. That includes the offering for Fedora Linux, the Fedora Linux 38, the one that we're celebrating over here. Our team was behind making it happen. The services that builds packages make sure that these are available as updates and installation whenever you feel like pressing DNF update on your command line. Chances are that our infrastructure is what has been behind in making that thing happen, making that thing available. Then development. So these tools that we maintain in our community infrastructure, these have been developed in-house by our folks. So things from Fedora messaging that's not quite as apparent to everyone, to things like Fedora badges, which is a lot popular amongst people. Heck, we have a badge for this release party as well. So if you have not gotten that badge to yourself yet, now's the best time to get that. So development of these activities, these projects, we call them initiatives within the team. So there's a workflow behind it. People can reach out to our initiatives issue tracker and request for a project to be developed. If they have a working prototype of it, that would be great. It gives us a place to start from. But if they don't, but if they have an idea, well, talk to us, open up an issue ticket, and then we can take it from there. We can decide how important it is and how impactful it can be to include that kind of in a project inside our community infrastructure. And if it's good enough, chances are that our team will work on it and make that concept a reality. The third part comes into maintenance. So all these applications, services that we develop as well as we administer in our infrastructure, we need to make sure to we need to maintain them to make sure that these don't stop running when the time is there. So we make sure that we have a good uptime, and if there is some downtime, we do make sure to inform people about it. So for the services that falls in the team remit, that's what we do. Moving on to the next slide now. Right, so here again, coming back to the organizing things in three things. So we're organized in three separate teams. So one is Fedora infrastructure. As the name speaks for it, We look after everything that's related to Fedora, be it applications, services, developing them, deploying them, everything in between. This is the team that takes care of that. And then we have the CentOS infrastructure team. It's the same thing, but for the CentOS project folks. From continuous integration systems to storages, this is the team that looks after it. And finally comes the release engineering team. And well, this release party has been, for the most parts, about them. They ensured that the releases of the distribution offering, they come out with the features planned, the packages that have been slated for that, and the schedule that has been decided upon. So if the Fedora Linux release comes to you on time and with the releases features that it was planned with, you have the release engineering team to thank for. Right. So now let's delve into the details about how effective we have been since the last release to this one. So there have been, say, 182 days since the last release of F37 to this one, F38. And within these 5 months or 6 months, I guess, 30 days for 30 days in a month, so 6 months, we have been instrumental in making sure that we resolve these many tickets: 168 in operations, 284 in total, and 3 in development. So a bunch of these tickets actually shift from maintaining stuff to developing stuff, and we realize that, yeah, the current solutions that we have don't really address the problem that's specified in that issue ticket. Keep in mind that if these numbers look crazy, like the one that's taken like the maximum number of days to resolve a ticket, chances are that it was open like years back, say in Fedora 20's days. So it took us like that many number of days to actually be able to close that ticket. So the maximum it took us was 2,197 days to close one ticket. And the average has been around 35.35 days, and the minimum was 0. We've been fast enough to resolve certain tickets on the day itself it was opened. And the calculated number of tickets in terms of their gain, 144 unlabeled tickets. So what it essentially means is they have been in general gainful to us, and we are not quite sure how high of a gain, how medium of a gain, or how low of a gain it were. But I actually went ahead and described the other three parts as well. The low gain tickets were 89 in number, medium gain 86, high gain 18. The same goes for trouble. Unlabeled is 147, low 108, medium 71, and high 11. So we do classify our tickets on the basis of the nature that they pertain to. Sometimes people don't open tickets in the right issue tracker. So we have had 14 of them and 227 of them fixed. Then 7 of them probably opened in a place or opened about something that does not quite seem right to us. So 7 of them. Then 6 of duplicate tickets, something that has already been reported to us previously, and 50 of them fixed and explain as to how it was done. Then 6 of them requiring more data, 2 of them actually ending up being an initiative. So the scope of the ticket was so big that it actually ended up with, well, planning a project to be able to better address that. And then finally, 25 of them, us understanding that, yeah, probably this is a problem, this is an issue that could be better explained, better addressed in our upstream. So that was about the Fedora infrastructure. Moving on to the CentOS infrastructure. So I'm going to swiftly go through all of these statistics now that we know what these words mean. This one does not have the last resolution nature that is about sending stuff to the upstream, but it has everything else apart from it. So in a total number of tickets of 185 that we have opened in between the period between the F37 release to F38 release, 185 tickets in total. operations 0, and development 1. And remaining tickets have been unlabeled, and that's what I'm going to go through in the remaining statistics. So the statistics look a bit better that, yeah, the maximum number of days it took for us to resolve a ticket is 418 as compared to 2000 in Fedora infrastructure, with the average being in 14.65, median being 1. The calculated number of tickets in terms of their gain: unlabeled 32, low 9, medium 90, and high is 88. A bunch of these tickets actually have overlapping, so you would see that a lot of these numbers don't really add up, because if you were to make, say, um, what was that chart that we used to make for sets? Um, you were to create that, and that would actually help you get these statistics in a lot more sensible manner. Then we go for the resolution nature. Oh, I didn't talk about the trouble. 34 unlabeled, 133 low, 40 medium, and 12 high. The resolution nature has 9 of them being asked to open up in a better issue tracker or something that actually pertains to that issue. 172 of them fixed, 8 of them looking not so valid to us, so we refrained from solving them. Then 5 of them being duplicates, and 18 of them explained after being fixed. 5 of them being requested with more data, and 2 about converting them as actual initiatives for us to be able to better solve that as standalone projects. Right. With the next one, I'm going to pass it over to my friend Samyak. He is a part of the release engineering team, so I guess that he will be able to explain these statistics in a much greater detail. Over to you.
Thanks, Akash. Okay, so I know that 1860 looks scary, but I'll tell you some of the things that happens is the issue gets opened like a 2 year back or 1 year back, and like we put into refinement, or if it becomes an initiative, it goes through the whole process. So this might be those issues if you're seeing the max number of days that got resolved. So yeah, of course, 2197 is a very scary number. But see, like we are that tells us that we are also taking account of old issues that we thought we might not able to do that time, but we are doing it now. So that's it. Okay, coming back to the release engineering side of stuff, we had like 263 tickets that have opened in the span of F37 to F38 release, and in which we have 184 ops tickets. If I'm seeing it right, yeah, and then 3 development tickets. I'm sorry, I need specs today. Uh, okay. Moreover, moving on to the statistics, the lowest one was I closed one ticket in what 15 minutes. So I should say it's a minimum, but I think it's 0 0. So there was a ticket that was that closed very fast. On an average, it took 32 days for the number of tickets to close in this period. While moving on to the tickets in the section for gain and trouble, so I think I see a quick question, but I will let Mikhail, if Mikhail is here, answer that. But just to ask, what is the magical formula for determining whether some things is low high gain or trouble? So from my perspective, what happens is from every Monday to Thursday, we have an open stand-up where people come on board and discuss the issues, they take into account, and they discuss, okay, like how much trouble or how much gain it is, depending upon how the description was filed, how it's making an impact, and how much work it requires. Sometimes an issue becomes an initiative, but that's how you determine that. And of course, like if someone knows better than me, they are happy to like put it on chat, or we can discuss that later. Moving on to the closed tickets that caused us trouble. Uh, there was 121 tickets that were unlabeled. So we don't really know if they were high trouble, or if they were low trouble, or it was medium trouble. But those were resolved. So like all these statistics are closed issues. So the issues were closed. While in the lower section, we have 147 tickets, in medium, we have 57, and in high, we have 3 tickets that was open. Luckily, or not lucky, whatever you call it, but we didn't have any high tickets that made it to initiatives, but we resolved it at their own places. Moving on to the resolution, we have maybe opened this in the correct tracker. As Akash explained all this, I'm going to not repeat what does these means, but I'm going to read it over quickly and move on to the next slides. Maybe open this in the correct tracker, which is basically 15 tickets. We fixed it to 59 tickets. This doesn't seem right to us, which is basically an invalid one. 2 tickets look like it was reported already, so it might be a duplicate issue. 5 tickets. Here, how it was fixed. We put a quick explanation. Okay, there you go. This is how we fixed it. Help us with more data, please. We might need more data to help you out in those manners. And that was one ticket in release engineering tracker. Also, I was doing it. I might have missed it for CentOS, but I did it for Fedora Infra. I'm putting over the links for Relig tracker and the CentOS tracker in the chat if someone wants to take a look on the issues or in the docs as well. So there you go. Akash, you can move to the next slide. Enough with the numbers. And I was like, whoa, what? There were so many numbers. It was scarier. So here we go. We have some good graphs for you representing the work that we did. And a good quote that's written here is, ticket or it didn't happen. And as we all know that it should be a ticket, it should be a known issue, it should be filed somewhere, it should be in visibility. Otherwise, the discussion never happened for it, the resolution never happened for it, and no action was taken against it. So make sure you file a ticket, and of course in the right tracker if you need to get a resolution out of it. But moving on to the statistics, issues of the tickets that were open in Fedora Infra, CentOS Infra, and release engineering side of stuff. In Fedora 36, we have 318 open issues, and while we closed 313 issues. Moving on to Fedora 37, it was 287, and then 285 that were closed. And in F38 as well, and I think the number is going down, so you need to look precisely. We had 284 tickets, and we closed 276 out of it. Similarly, in CentOS Infra, we have 240 that was open in F36, 238 that were closed. While in F37, we closed the same number of issues that were opened and the same number of issues that were closed. No, please note that these issues might not be the same issues. So we might have closed issues that was opened a little while back before this time period, but we closed in this period. While the issues that were open in period might be the issues that we're closing after a 38 release. So just keep in mind while looking out. Moving on to the F38 side of things, we have 185 open issues and 179 that were closed. And finally, moving on to the release engineering side of stuff, we have 357 issues that were open, and we closed 348 out of it in 36. In 37, we had 307 open, and we closed 297, very close. And in F38, we had 263 open and 251 closed. So this was the statistics. But as I said before, look precisely that the number of issues for open is coming down. And that means that with every release, we are giving less trouble to the folks, and we are there. Similarly, there are decrease in the open issues and decrease in the and decrease in the closed issues as per the closed trend. So we are also determined to close the number of issues as fast as we can. So of course, maintaining a big infrastructure, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of thinking and discussions going around. But we are determined to have that in place for you folks, to have a seamless experience. So that was for the ticket, or it didn't happen. Akash, you can move on. So yes, another graph for you because numbers. So here is the release duration from F36, F37, and F38. In F36, the release went into 167 days, and in F37 it took 182 days, and similarly in F38 it took again 182 days for us. But Since it's a little longer for us, we took a little more time from F36. We had a good experience with less number of issues and stuff. So yeah, better be late than sorry. Uh, also, make give me a second. Yep. Also, also, uh, where was I? Yes. Also, I was I have to open a head track for the folks. Like just raise hands or like just put on comments that we are gonna close 182 days for F39. Just kidding. But yeah, Akash, next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, this is one of the favorite slide for me from the slide deck today for CPE. Here we might not able to get all the data, but we try to put most of the data from what CPE does. CPE did from release 37 to release 38. Okay, so moving on from so starting from November 22, we have F37 released on 15th of November 2022. We also had our Arch investigations for webhook to Fedora messaging applications. And I think for you folks, I also have a link to that. I might not have links to everything today, so I'm so sorry for that, but you can always reach out to CPE to get more info about it. Uh, Moving on to the next one is update and reboot Fedora infra. Thanks to Kevin and like other folks for taking care of it. We also moving on to the next one in the November of 2022, we have maintaining Meatbot logs and MD API. In the month of December 2022, we have sent to SCI infrastructures, upgrades, new deployments. We also have Arch investigations for rewriting GitHub to Fed message. I have a link to that as well, so you folks can take a look. And I'm not reading the chats. I'll come back to that later. And finally, and in third item for in the month of December 2022, we have maintaining support for toddlers. And one more Arch investigation was done in this month was Pegure to GitLab importer. So here you go with that link as well if you need to find more details. Next item and starting of the month, starting of the year. I don't know why I'm saying month with year twice, but okay. So in January 2023 started with Fedora badges redevelopment, and we all need badges, so that's important. And here you go with a link to that. And we had a creative Fedora summit, and I think I don't have to like say much about it because Emma and folks already discussed a lot in the past talks, and there was a presence of design team in the Creative Freedom Summit. Moving on to the next item is MD API rewrite, handover, and deployment, and focus on new features for Fed package. In month of February 2023, we have automated processing of Fedora SCM request. We have initiative for DNF count me scripts kickoff. We have Arch investigations for fast to discourse operator. And of course, in the February 2023, we have FOSDEM 2023, where the design team, CP team had a good presence. Of course, you might have seen some pictures at Twitter, but yeah. in March of 2023, we centralized and updated Fedora infra and Relent SOPs. I think it was very useful for me when I joined because having a documentation in place, it's always a good thing to do. Of course, documentations are never completed, so we keep working on these. But you can take at the release guide that I sent you, and if you just like remove release guide to it, there's a whole infra SOP centralized at one place so that you can take a look at it. Next item from the March 2023 was new version of module build service. We have FMN version 3 completion and deployment, where I think Aurelien already gave a good talk yesterday. We also had maintaining support for Fed message and Fedora contributor activity statistics project that's kicked off. In April 2023, we had our awesome Fedora 38 release, and I hope everyone is using it already. If not, do it now. We also had our launch of Fedora website 3.0. Like big kudos to that, and big kudos for Emma and Akash for demonstrating it yesterday. And finally, we have two more items on that is initializing the CentOS stream release overhaul and automatic wildcard TLS certificate renewal. So of course, CPE team has been up to a lot of things. And as I said earlier, and I'll say it again, there are many more things that went on in this transition period from 37 to 38. But we were just able to accumulate decent amount of data in the short period of time. So uh, I would say kudos to CPE team and a give big clap for them. So these were the marvels that we unleashed. By the way, like if you will see, it was a synergy that we put in the starting, and these are the marvels that we're unleashing. So there you go. Next slide, Akash. Yes, and thank you. And scan that code because I made it. Jokes apart, but yeah, there you will go to know about what CPE is. But thanks to all the folks for joining. And Akash, please look at the question because I'm scared.
Not a problem, no. So yeah, definitely do scan this QR code. We were looking at something, I guess, in one of the presentations yesterday where we were looking for branded QR codes. One of them QR codes had Red Hat, and it was Anuralp, I guess, we told that, you know what, Fedora logo should be there. Why do we have Red Hat logo? Something in the lines of that, maybe. But yeah, maybe we can work on something like this in the coming times. This should take you to the documentation of what our team is about, how you can reach out to us, how we can collaborate with the community as we have. And yeah, one of the things that Samyak told that stands correct, the synergy of us, a team that is commissioned to work on these projects, but we're working to make sure that, yeah, we have the visibility of what we do, and the community is an equal stakeholder of the things that we maintain. So if we develop, we do make sure that the community knows about it and feels that ownership, feels empowered to maintain them in the long run. Right. So let's look at the questions right now. QA tab, right? So I'm not gonna go back to the more earlier questions. Yeah. So the first question is from Anurag. How can I get started? How can I get started with Fedora Infra, and do I need to be Red Hat? Nope, you don't need to be a Red Hat to get started with Fedora Infra. We have our weekly meetings on Fridays that you can be a part of. It happens on IRC. Drop right in, give an introduction, tell them where you are coming from, and yeah. Samyak, do you want to add something?
Yeah, it's on Thursday, but there you go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Thursday, not Friday. So do join it and drop an introduction. And there are people just like you, volunteers, not all of them are employees, taking part in this and making sure that our infra stays up most of the time, if not all the time. Yeah, so Justin has one more question. What is your best hypothesis for why the number of tickets in Fedora CentOS challenge is decreasing every release since F36? Oh, that's a good question. So, yeah, here again, this is a hypothesis, so take it with a grain of salt, some garam masala, you know it. But I do think that we are really trying to make sure that our services, they go on being good in quality. So if they require rewrite, so we actually go back to the drawing board and we do stuff from ground up just to be able to make sure that these issues are addressed. A lot of these times, what happens is we go on closing these issues at large because these don't pertain to the newer version of a said application. And whilst they are not pertaining to the newer one, chances are that when people face issues with the newer version of the applications, they are going to report it. But they feel less issues comparatively as compared to the last version, and that is probably why the tickets that are being created are going decreasing in the trend as we go on in the newer releases. Samik, do you want to add your 2 cents to it?
No, all good. I think you got it covered well.
Yeah. Then again, this is a hypothesis. There might be other reasons as well. There might be folks on CPE team who must be wondering, what the hell is he talking about? Then again, reach out to us and we should be able to give you a more definite answer to that. Right, Sunral has a couple more questions. Is Pegio going to be closed in favor for GitLab based on the imported ticket I saw? Yeah, the TLDR answer is yeah. The no, I want to read the long version is it's going to be a long while before that happens. It's not just the Fedora project repositories that we have over there, but a bunch of other public repositories that we have there as well, which do not really pertain to Fedora project, but it's a Git repository for every person out there. So it's going to be a long while before that happens. But if anyone is starting something anew, I would strongly recommend opening their repository in the Fedora namespace on GitLab rather than having to open it on Pagure first and then realizing after a certain number of years that, yeah, now that Pagure is closing doors, we kind of have to do all that migration. So it's better off doing that from the very get-go. A couple of examples of this is, of course, the Fedora websites 3.0. We wanted to do stuff from ground up, so we might as well start doing it in a new place, which is going to be there for a while. And GitLab provides you a good place for planning with epics, with Kanban boards, stuff like that. So I would actually recommend you that from that point of view as well. And badges, which is new, up and coming, it's in progress. So it's going to be there in GitLab as well. A bunch of Fedora Council. I think Mindshare also moved on to GitLab. So it's actually a good practice that if you're planning on creating something, do it on GitLab. Or if you have something that's on Pagure, try working towards migrating it over there. It's not going to go down tomorrow or the next year, but it's probably going to be in the next couple of years, I guess. So yeah, there's that. Oh, Sandro says footnotes, so it did not happen. I'm sorry, I did not include enough footnotes, but I guess oh, by not enough, I mean zero. We didn't have any. Right. So I guess we're above time right now. It's 1 minute past the hour from in my end. So thank you, folks, for joining.
Thank you, folks.
Do reach out to us if you want to get involved in maintaining our infrastructure, developing it, or if you have some crazy ideas that you think can help us really help the community in a much better way. Reach out to us, and we can totally help you with that.